story out in Politico today that Hillary Clinton is going after Jeb Bush's donors. So she is appealing to Republicans and saying, now of course it's not her directly, it's her handlers who are reaching out to Jeb Bush's bundlers, okay? so I didn't do it. And they're saying, hey, in essence, what's the difference? Give the money to us. Now, to be fair to them, of course they nuance it in a different way. They go, no, Trump's a madman. And that's true, right? So you don't want that madman. And some of you guys are concerned about the instability. So make sure you don't get that instability. All you Wall Street donors, okay? And this is predominantly about Wall Street donors, but other donors as well, corporate donors, et cetera, that was giving to Republicans and Jeb Bush. Don't worry, I got your back. Give it to me instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
So the overly fair way to look at it for her, if you're in her camp, is, well, what? I mean, of course, she should raise as much money as possible to make sure she beats Donald Trump. And if the Republican donors are going to give it to her, that's fine. The other way to look at it is that the people that are going over there to make that argument to the Republicans are right. There really isn't that big of a difference in this case. Now, if they cared about social issues, there'd be a giant difference, right? But if you care about making sure that the Wall Street is protected and not regulated and that they have low taxes, there isn't that big a difference between Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton. And there is a big difference between the stability Hillary Clinton would give you and the instability that Donald Trump would give you.
Yeah.
Now, it's not working yet because the donors are saying two different things. They're saying, one, well, I want to see if another Republican gets in as a third-party candidate. Well, that's very interesting, okay? And that might happen, and that would present a whole new dynamic. And number two, right now they weren't, as of the printing of this story, which was a day ago, they weren't that worried yet about Donald Trump. And remember, Donald Trump would cut their taxes.
Yeah.
So they're
Ask him today.
Yeah. But today, we found out that Donald Trump said, yeah, I might just, bankrupt the American economy, literally, the American government, I should say, and devalue the dollar or by playing with our debt.
And destabilizing the markets.
Destabilizing all the
refuse to
markets.
back it, yeah.
So now a lot of those guys might, after this article, if you went to them one day later, they might be like, yeah, that thing about Trump's not so bad? Not really. My prediction is a lot of these Wall Street guys that are Republicans, the Wall Street Democrats have already given to Hillary Clinton. The Wall Street lobbyists that don't give a damn about Democrat or Republican, that just want whoever is in the White House to be captured by the Wall Street, have already given to Hillary Clinton, okay? Now the Wall Street Republicans, I think a good chunk of them are going to go, winning argument, I'd rather have stability. Things are already pretty good for me. Don't rock the boat. Trump would rock the boat. I'm going to go over to Clinton. And if you are a progressive and you think that Hillary Clinton is now making promises, her team is making promises to Jeb Bush donors, to Republican Wall Street guys, but that she won't deliver on those promises, don't worry. She'll actually screw them over because she cares more about the voters than she does about the money she's getting from donors, and that she'll actually tightly regulate Wall Street and get those guys anyway.
Cenk, you're wasting your breath, man, because we've seen it this whole time. Hillary supporters, who I'm sure 100% of them used to hate donations, hated the Koch brothers, all of that, have convinced themselves, because of the difference between Hillary and Bernie on this issue, that clearly then she can't be wrong, money can't corrupt you. So why not get the money from Jeb Bush? It doesn't matter, she'll never give them anything.
Well, she's ruined the perfectly logical argument, now gotten all the Democrats to support the idea that money in politics doesn't matter at all. I mean, what a preposterous argument to get Democrats to argue in favor of. The reality is, of course it does. And the ironic thing is that they say Bernie Sanders is unrealistic. You want to know the most unrealistic thing in the world? That Hillary Clinton is going to take millions of dollars from all these Democratic and Republican Wall Street guys and is not going to be affected by it at all.
Yeah.
You want to talk about unrealistic? You'd have to be a jackass to believe that. Yes, I just said that.